Thank you, Senator. Appreciate you coming in and telling us about your piece of legislation.
My pleasure.
The next person I'm going to call on is Dave Scanlan from the Secretary of State's office. David, have you seen this amendment?
I haven't seen the amendment, but I'm aware of the details that are in there.
More over the details.
Yes.
I would assume you're probably part of this amendment.
Just a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm David Scanlan, Deputy Secretary of State, here in support of Senate Bill 289. The Secretary of State's office has consistently supported the idea of a photo ID to obtain a ballot at the polling place, subject to a couple of concerns. First concern being that no qualified voter be turned away from the polling place without voting on the day of the election. Excuse me. And the second concern being that there not be any undue burdens, additional burdens placed upon local election officials excuse me, at the polling place on that day, making their job more difficult. The Senate Bill 289 with the proposed amendment, I think, fits the bill. It's a clean photo ID bill to obtain a ballot. It's nothing more. It is certainly workable in our opinion. I know that Senator Prescott has worked with the Clerks Association and with our office to address concerns that are out there. Given we think the bill is something that will work in the state of New Hampshire. The last thing I'd like to say is to simply address the financial issues in this bill. One, it calls for the Secretary of State's office paying for non-driver photo IDs for voting purposes at the Department of Safety, and then by 2016, purchasing camera equipment that can be used at the polling place to take photos of voters that show up without IDs. New Hampshire did recently receive an additional $1.4 million in Help America Vote Act funds from the federal government. And certainly that money is available for improving elections, which we would certainly do this as an improvement. And then the other cost, paying for non-driver photo IDs, is one that we don't really have a good handle on what the cost is going to be. I think the concern there is alleviated quite a bit by the more expansive nature of the types of IDs and other proof of identity that would be permissible under Senator Prescott's bill. If the photo ID requirement was strictly limited to driver's licenses, passports, and military IDs, then I think we would be concerned that there would be a high number of individuals in the state that might require those. If there were 50,000 at $10 a piece, that would be a $500,000 hit from HUBA funds. And from my opinion, that is not a sustainable expense in that fund, and at some point we would have to ask the general fund to cover that cost. Given the way the bill is amended or proposed to be amended, I don't have those same concerns because the photo ID requirement is more broad than it is narrow. And I think the actual number of people that would need one would be relatively small. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions?
And thank you for speaking to this. You referred to photos at photos taken at the voting place in the future. Are you anticipating that they would also produce a card so that the individual would have that card to bring to vote in the future? Are you looking at just a simple camera that would take a picture that heaven knows where it would end?
We would not be looking at a card, at least at this point in time. We did some research on that a couple of years ago, and to have the units in place that would allow that to take place would probably be somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 per polling place, and that's expensive. What Senator Prescott envisions, and we had some discussions on this, is a camera in the polling place, a laptop possibly, and a printer. Put out to bid after it's spec'd out, and then the photo would be taken, put right on the challenge voter affidavit that the voter would also have to sign, and then that document would be kept on file, either with the supervisors of the checklist or the town clerk.
Paula. You say the Secretary of State's office supports the idea of voter ID. Do you see any concern that there is no ending point at which point everyone would have to have a photo ID?
Senator, I don't quite understand the question.
Well, it seems that, I believe I asked Senator Prescott about the January 16th date, if after that point everyone would have to have a photo ID, and he said no, the process would continue. Do you have any concern that there's like no end date at which everyone that wanted to vote would have to have a photo ID with them?
No, because my understanding is that the process that would be in place is that if a voter did not have a photo ID, or the other methods available in this bill for proving identity are not available to the voter, then the voter would just simply have their digital photograph taken and placed on that on that challenge voter affidavit. And that would be the process moving forward after 2016.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Dave. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
GrokTV.